to the channel. Today we have a very interesting talking point. This is a 2016 Mercedes C43 saloon. So we actually shot a wagon, one of these, 2019, and that was a facelifted variant of the car I am driving today. Now, I absolutely love that car. I thought it was the perfect middle ground between a full fat, silly, crazy, very expensive C63 and then on the latter side, a fast C-Class diesel, one that we've had on the channel. We had a saloon 2015 diesel a few months ago as well. So this is slap bang in the middle of both of those cars. Thankfully today though, and this is a really, really good thing to start with, this has the optional AMG exhaust. Something that completely livens up this car. But we're going to take it out and see if my thoughts of the C43 is still correct and why I think it is still slightly underrated for a lot of performance car fans out there. First thing we're going to do is take it out of its boring settings, I'm going to call it. So we're going to put the exhaust on, which makes a big difference. I actually put this on and off when I was stationary a minute ago, and the difference in sound is pretty good. So we will take ourselves out of the comfort mode and we'll put into, we'll go to AMG Sport. Now I feel like Sport Plus sometimes in these is a bit too choppy. So for me, the Sport variant of the suspension is right, and we'll go for manual mode as well. So 367 brake horsepower from the 3-litre twin turbo engine in this era C43. Now the big difference is the exhaust. The emotion that you'll get from an AMG car, I feel, is down to the exhaust note. And then when the 43 came out, some people were a bit hesitant on it. I sort of saw it for what it was, the in-between middle ground, as I've already said, of getting yourself into an AMG car, which I felt from the last time. It snaps when you go up the rev. When you change gear, even short shifting, very, very impressive numbers. I know 367 horsepower doesn't sound like a lot to some people, but I feel like in a competent chassis, which is what this is, with a few trick modes from the suspension, the gearbox settings, fantastic. It's so fast, so sharp. It does feel a lot more sprightly than I remember them being. As we come to a red light, the inside of these cars, and I will see this in the walkthrough, this one has a lot of nice packs on it. So you have the Burmester sound system, which I think is a must in any Mercedes. You have leather and stitched leather with red bits all over the dash, all down the doors. That exhaust makes a big difference to this car. I can't believe how much of a difference it actually makes. Now, I'm correct in thinking, get at me in the comments if I'm wrong, the newer ones have OPF filters. So that will dull down the exhaust note incredibly, even with, I would say, an AMG exhaust system. This one, of course, doesn't have it. And then that coupled with the AMG factory exhaust system, that's where you're getting a bit of a better sensation out of this car. Because I feel like if you bought a lesser spec one of these and you went out in it and it didn't have the sound system, it didn't have the AMG exhaust, I feel like you get a different experience from this car. This car is best experienced like this, with those nice amenities. I mean, it's even got the pan roof, which is, I would say a must. If you're spending this sort of money, try and get one with a pan roof, try and get one with, the sound system. AMG exhaust, I mean, if you really wanted to, you could put an exhaust on it, but it would be nice if you got a factory fitted AMG exhaust car. And like I've said in previous A35 AMG videos, and some of what people would call the lesser AMG models they're not as aggressive, they're not this, they're not that. I prefer my AMG car, if I was to ever have one, with comfort seats. This one has fantastically comfy seats. In fact, me and the owner were actually talking about a car that we both just owned and we've come out of, which is a BMW M4. And he was saying, do you know what, mate, the M4 was cool, it was fantastic, amazing to drive, but the other side of it, practicality wasn't there. The seats were too harsh, the ride was too harsh. And he said, honestly, I wasn't really into Mercedes, but I went and test drove this and sort of started looking at 63s and these, and the price point of this car was so right. I got in it and it was comfy, it was fast, it ticked all the boxes. I said to him, this is exactly why I loved the C43 when I drove it. It's because it was ticking every single box in my head. It was comfy, it was relaxed when you wanted it to be, it was still sharp enough to drive around in out of its AMG modes for it to be a nice driving car. There was no drawback there, but then when you put it in its more exciting performance AMG modes, it became such a competent car. It was easy to drive fast, power was correct, and it was comfy, and that's what I'm experiencing today. I'm so glad that this car is what I remember it being, a comfy, fast saloon car that's not loads of money. And if we go back to the original C43 video I actually did with the guys at Esplanade, they were saying, you know, even down to brakes and servicing, the brakes and servicing on a C63 versus a C43 is hugely different. So taking that into the used car market, this being a used car with 60 odd thousand miles on it, the owner now said, yeah, I looked at C63 brakes and I drive it to work and I drive my kids around it. Yeah, I'm going to enjoy it, but do I really want to be paying that much more money for a C63 just because it's a C63? I get it, the C63 is an insane car, but there's a lot to be said for these C43s. So, pulling over, let's have a quick look round at this C43 AMG. Now, I feel like the white really suits these C-Class saloons, so for me this is probably the colour I would go for. Black accents all the way around the car with this non-factory splitter, something again I think just suits the car. Black grills, black all across the front. As a package, it looks the part. Yes, it hasn't got the wide arches of the C63. Coming around, got the diamond cut wheels from factory with AMG brakes. They are cheaper to replace the discs and pads, something that many owners out there from a used car point of view would probably prefer. This big pan roof that's an option on these C43s. Coming around though, talking point being that AMG optional exhaust system, something that I feel every C43 should have. I'll show you guys the inside now. This generation of Mercedes, they really upped the level on the interior of the C-Class. Burmester sound system here, something you want to get on your C43. Memory settings and electronic seats, with the seats being actually half Alcantara in the centre, which I actually quite like. Full leather stuff's cool, but I like the breakup of Alcantara and leather on this one. We will jump in though. One thing I do really like about these is just here, sort of like a ghosted checkered flag behind the speedo and the rev gauge. Something really, really cool there that you'll only notice and only pick out when you're actually driving one of these cars. We'll come around and show you this. So under the vehicle settings and under engine data, if you want more of what you see in front of you here, but in a digital format, horsepower and newton meters, as you can see just there. And lastly, the seats. And I've told you about the seats multiple times, but they are so much more comfortable than bucket seats and stuff that you'll get in other variants. Being an old man, as I am, I'll always opt for a comfy seat. These still hold you in though, that's the thing. They're not just big comfy armchairs that you'll fall out of when you're going around the corner. These still keep you in the car. They have big bolsters on the side just here to keep you in the seat, but still comfy. Also, point this out as we're here, red seat belts. So cool. And as we jump back out the car, I'm going to say that again, this is slightly underrated car. I feel everybody wants C63s, but I feel like if you're in the market for an AMG performance car, this could be up there. So impressed with the power. Really low down actually, a lot lower down than I remember it being in the other C43 that I've driven. It makes the UK B roads a lot easier and a lot more fun because you don't have to be crazy revving the car out to get it up in, you know, some sort of 4,000 to 5,000 RPM rev range to actually get this thing going. Even, you know, with fourth gear, 2,500, 3,000 RPM. I think this is a great all-rounder though, and what I'm going to say more than anything is, if you're after your first AMG car and you want a saloon and you want something like this is probably your best bet. Yes, the withdrawals that some people are going to say are that it doesn't have the wide arches. It fits in a little bit too much. In the spec that I've got today, white with the pan roof, black roof, you know, it's got the nice wheels on it, a couple of splitters and stuff, it looks the part. And that's one of the great things about the 43, I think, is that if you wanted to buy one that fits in, you can. If you wanted to buy one that's a bit more leery, you can. The tuning potential of these are fantastic. You know, 367, I think, brake horsepower from factory these are. These are well over 400 horsepower with a remap. Yeah, that is super impressive. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you did like it, please leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on the C43 AMG. I think these cars are fantastic. They are everything I want my daily driver fast car to be. And if you have a car that you would like me to shoot for the channel, let me know on Instagram, JamieFYD. Hit me up, and we'll see you all on the next one.